Adnan. Adnan, this is the Global Digest think tank group. So before we start our discussion, Adnan, why don't you introduce to our audience where are you right now? What is your background? Please.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Adnan Habul. I'm from Sarajevo, Bosnia, and I'm currently in Sarajevo. I'm political scientist, master degree in international relations and diplomacy, with a rich international career in United Nations and Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. I'm currently head of European wing of special trafficking operation, former special trafficking operation program of the United Nations, which started in Bosnia, and now we are registered as a US-based non-profit organization, which is called Stop Trafficking of People. So you can see the same abbreviation is STOP. So our main goal is to try to stop trafficking of people. As I said, I'm in charge for projects in Europe, but we had also activities in Africa and in particular in Liberia and also in Haiti. So that's basically who I am, and I have spent the past 7 years in Ukraine during the conflict, but I left Ukraine. I ended my mission shortly before the latest escalation of the conflict.
So you are now in Bosnia, right?
Yes, I'm in Bosnia now.
You also worked for OSCE before?
Yes, that's Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe.
I see. Still, you are working for OSCE right now?
No, I'm not.
You know more about human rights issue in Europe, right?
This engagement in special stop trafficking of people, that's highly related with human rights. We are actually working on the projects related to refugees from Ukraine, in particular females, children, who are, as you know, millions of them left the country. They are scattered around whole Europe, and many of them fell a prey of criminal groups who are trafficking people. So our job, our mission is to, we cannot eradicate that issue, but at least we can make their job for those traffickers, for the criminals, harder. And we are fighting very hard, you know. But I think the main issue is actually about lack of commitment of real commitment of the government, of their funding agencies, because various politicians, you know, they speak about fighting trafficking of people, but unfortunately, in most of the cases, it's just used as a reclama, as a promotion, but they're not so eager to give some substantial funds for organizations like ours. So it's very difficult, you know.
Right.
But most of the job we are doing on voluntarily basis, we are not after money, you know. But without funds, it's very difficult to achieve any results.
Right.
Unfortunately, also various organizations in Europe, they are organizing a lot of conferences, a lot of talks, whatever, you know, chit chats about trafficking of people and how to fight it. But very few of them actually work in the field. So we are focused on the field work, where we are trying to actually help first of all to identify the victims and to help them to get away from the chain of trafficking. So I think one of the main human rights is right for freedom, you know, free life. So this is actually modern slavery, and this is very serious issue. As I said, millions of women and children from Ukraine have fled to European countries, especially
Is there a lot of Ukrainian refugee came to Bosnia?
Yeah, we have some, but Bosnia is not that attractive for refugees because we have a reputation of post-conflict country. But we have a group of around, let's say, 1,000 refugees from Ukraine. They came mostly because of personal contacts with people from Bosnia, but the majority of refugees actually went to Western Europe, to European Union countries, in particular Germany, Italy, Spain, Nordic countries like Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and there are also some larger group in Poland. Probably the largest group is in Poland. As you can see, actually nobody knows yet how many and where those refugees have left. So these are only estimations. Our projects actually aim to first have exact numbers, exact locations. So we are in the middle of doing research. Currently, we are doing desk research because we are using our contacts in law enforcement agencies in various countries. But we also need field research. So this is what we are waiting for funding for that field research.
You are looking for European Union fund or American fund, or where is the potential you can get fund?
Well, it doesn't matter we are actually applying and lobbying for both European and United States funds, and also we have on our website, which is stoptraffickingofpeople.org. We have a button where you can donate even $1 or €1,
Oh,
whatever.
amazing.
Yeah.
So you can say a lot of Ukrainian refugees, they went to other countries. At the same time, there are some trafficker, they made advantage and took many refugees as
Yes.
trafficking.
Yes, according to our information, we are talking about mostly female refugees because Ukraine closed the borders for men. They have to stay and fight for Ukraine, but they let females to go out together with children and elderly people. So that first wave of refugees was, let's say, welcomed by Polish groups of humanitarian aid organizations, but also a number of them. It's, we have to figure out how many of them unfortunately fell a prey of those criminal groups. We have information that even some women, criminal members of criminal groups, they were waiting for other women, and they were directing them where to go, and nobody knows where they are now.
The trafficker, not only men, also included.
Yeah,
They are working together with a man trafficker, and they kind of, they make seducing or persuading refugee, and they make trafficking, something like that. How do you identify the characteristic of trafficker? How they
look,
approach?
I think among the criminals, it's a full diversity.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what gender, doesn't matter what nationalities they have. They work together, and their main goal is to make profit out of somebody's misery. So this is very low.
So mostly in which country trafficker came out from?
These are international groups from various countries. Even it's a kind of mix of Polish, Romanian, Estonians, even from Western Balkan countries, because they are very experienced in trafficking in human beings.
So they are mixed up between good people and trafficker in everywhere, Poland, as you mentioned, Romania, Estonia, or
Well, I would not.
Western Europe, any country, right?
Yes, any country. I would not target any particular nation because it's not fair. Because as I said, these are very diverse and international groups from various countries. There are no good and bad countries. There are good and bad people.
Right.
Individuals.
Right.
Unfortunately. So
the trafficker, they have organization, or they are working like NGO or how they are working? They are
They,
pretend to be helping people or what they are make incentive to the refugee.
this is what needs to be investigated. Unfortunately, some of them have been infiltrated in humanitarian aid organizations. This is yet to be confirmed, but we have some information that not all, but some of the humanitarian aid workers also work for those trafficking networks, criminal groups. So, as I said, various organizations, including OSCE and United Nations, national organizations, law enforcement agencies, they all speak about need to fight against trafficking, but we don't see much effort on the ground because a lot of women are victims, and
Right.
we can see that the rate of forcible prostitution have increased in Europe. So people sometimes mix prostitution with trafficking. It is interlinked, but if somebody voluntarily decides to become a prostitute, it's a matter of choice. But if somebody is forced to be a prostitute, then we are talking about trafficking.
It's complicated. It can be one side, the trafficker, even they can be pretend to be NGO or even humanitarian aid worker. And the other side, refugee, even among refugees, some maybe also include prostitute or something like that. That also complicated some bad people among refugees as well as some bad people among the NGO or aid worker uh, or other trafficker. So
Yes,
all kind of dimension we have to be check up. We need to check
yes, it is very
somehow
complex. It is
mix
very
up.
complex
It's
issue, and
mixing. So
even fortunately, some law enforcement members,
I
members of law enforcement agencies in certain countries are also linked with those networks
maybe
of
immigration
criminals.
immigration officer or police.
Yeah.
It can be also linked to the
Yes.
trafficker.
Yes.
It's complicated. We
Yeah.
have check case by case, right?
Yes. Yes. So, as you can understand, it is a complex issue, and it requires a lot of resources, which we obviously don't have enough. So that's why we started organizing a network of various non-government organizations in Europe. For instance, the most recent one is we signed a memorandum of understanding and cooperation with one Finnish NGO, which is helping Ukrainian refugees. I think it's about 50,000 refugees in Finland from Ukraine. They are very active. They are providing humanitarian aid. They are not dealing with fighting against trafficking because this is dangerous job, you know, and we don't expect them to, to actively fight against trafficking, but they are a very good source of information for us, and we use those information for our research and targeted actions.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's very important that any country, the government should be political will to protect human rights and solve this trafficking issue. So as you mentioned, there are very low political will maybe in Bosnia and other countries as well. So how can you afford, you can, how can you advocate for political will for any government to support, including financial assistance? How many cases you have done so far?
first of all, as I said, we are a continuation of the United Nations Special Trafficking Operation Program, which started back in 2000 in Balkans, in Bosnia, and we have closed down around 300 locations where trafficking was going on, and we rescued around over 2,000 victims and potential victims. We helped them to be repatriated to their home countries. At that time, it was a more obvious issue, and it was harder for traffickers to organize transportation of the victims through the borders. Now that job is much easier for them because Ukrainian refugees they can freely travel wherever they want. They don't require visa or something. So now traffickers are using different methodology. They are no longer force somebody to cross the border or something and take the passport and then, like before, and then they blackmail the victim, like if you go to police, you are going to be prosecuted because of illegal entry to the country. It's no longer that methodology. Now they invite them and they trick them with offer of good salary, good job. They just need to show up at certain location and everything will be fine. So, for instance, we noticed that in Montenegro, which is our neighbor country, small country, but it's on Adriatic coast. They have about 60,000 refugees from Ukraine. And for your information, Montenegro entire population is about 700,000 people. So you can imagine the proportion. But many women are actually tricked, like to board on a yacht on the coast just to have good time, party, and then they fell prey of trafficking. So our part of our job is also to educate women where those traps are, where those traps can be, and also to understand that there is no such a thing like a free lunch. You know, if you need to make money, you have to work hard. You know, and speaking about working, there is also not only sexual exploitation, there is also labor exploitation. You know that some people can be stranded in some plantages, let's say in Portugal or Spain, exotic countries, but because of the climate, a lot of fruits and vegetables are growing there, and they need a lot of workforce. So many people get stranded there, and they are abused concerning unpaid labor. So at the first glance, European Union is perfect. You know, when you read laws, every country is strictly against trafficking of human beings. They have agencies, they have national coordinators, they have various instruments. They conducted thousands of workshops for law enforcement agencies, how to prevent, how to cope with trafficking, but still there is trafficking. So that indicates that something is not working that well as it is written in the laws, you know. So that's why it's good to have non-profit organizations like us and some others who actually point the finger to the government, and they say, and we say,
Right.
well, it's nice to have a law, but how do you implement the law? You know,
It's lack of implementation and a lack of political will by the government, and still, I mean, a lot of trafficking are existing. It means a lot of human rights advocates and activists still need to work, you know, you still need to work a lot of things. Do you have any human rights institution, the human rights commission or ombudsman or human rights institution in your country, and what is the role of human rights institute?
we have a national anti-trafficking coordinator. We also have ombudsman offices. They are fighting for human rights. They are doing their job as much as they can, but the scale of the problem is probably larger than we actually perceive.
Right.
So that's why I'm pointing out on disparity between what is written in the law and how many funds are allocated to those institutions and also to non-profit organizations. But still, I'm not talking about lack of willing of the countries, of the governments to fight. No, they are really dedicated to fight, but sometimes they don't operate with real figures. Sometimes they have some other priorities. You know that global economy crisis is hitting hard, also European Union, and there are some other priorities. So that's why funding for these purposes is much lower. I was recently in Albania, and I was talking to some of my colleagues and from other non-profit organizations. They also complained that their funding is decreased because of simply economic crisis, which is triggered by this conflict in Ukraine. And oil prices, everything is interconnected. Food prices are going high because Ukraine was feeding 1/3 of the world population with grains. Now those channels of grain are cut off, and it's a very difficult situation in the whole world.
Because of global crisis, Ukraine, Russian crisis also affected a lot of global issues. And
Yeah.
government want to support a lot of human rights implementation, but they also have other priority. So they may adjust with different issue, but still there are not enough support for human rights issue or not good implementation, not sufficient implementation by many governments in Europe, as you said, right? And
Yes.
how about national human rights institution role? How did you see they have to do more justice or more fair human rights issue if in case the government failed to do many things or even some can be deliberately failure or mistake by government institution. Like you mentioned, the corruption can be in police or also in immigration or even in the court justice system. So at the time, human rights institution, national human rights institution role is important, right? They have to make fair justice.
Yes. Okay, we can speak differently about European Union and non-European Union, but still European countries.
Right.
Uh, Formally, corruption is much higher in those European countries which are not member states of European Union. But according to our information, even in European Union countries, corruption is present, but it's maybe in different format. It's that big that you cannot see it. It's a too big picture to be visible. That's a paradox. And human rights institutions, they are doing their job as much as they can. They are doing their best. They are usually highly motivated and dedicated fighters for human rights and freedoms, but unfortunately, they also lack resources, human resources, financial resources. They don't lack, let's say, verbal support like we also we have a lot of verbal support, a lot of tapping, well done, good job. But when it comes to implementation of certain projects which would make impact, usually both non-profit and government institutions don't get enough funds because politicians, they have good excuses. Global economy crisis, and of course we cannot expect let's say law enforcement agencies to work only on trafficking, fighting trafficking. There are many other kinds of crime, drug dealing, illegal, smuggling of various things, public peace and order, a lot of things happens, domestic violence, gender-based violence. Yeah, actually there is positive discrimination of Ukrainian refugees compared to refugees from Africa, from Syria, they are not so welcome to European countries as Ukrainians. Unfortunately, I'm happy for Ukrainians that are welcomed and treated well, but there is a big disparity in approach by certain countries. For instance, Poland, Hungary, and some other countries, they even closed the borders for refugees from Syria. We cannot be happy about refugees because being a refugee, it's not easy. It's
Right.
it's something that nobody wants to become, but the treatment by European countries of Ukrainian refugees, it's much better than those who are coming from non-European countries, unfortunately. So this is big time discrimination. And recently, even Secretary General of United Nations, he actually asked the countries to make equal treatment of all refugees. Doesn't matter where they are coming from and what's their race, or Unfortunately, in Europe, some people are still having weird racist ideas, unfortunately.
Is also, can you say about religion? Most European are Christian religion, but many refugees from Muslim countries.
Yes, we can also speak about
It can be a problem for Christian society if Muslim population are too much. It will be, a little bit risky for Christian society. It will be, disturbing Christian religion. It's a kind of that. Is there any cases about religion conflict or discrimination based on religion? Because Muslim are too much, Syria or Iraq, many Muslim country.
Unfortunately, that far right movements in various countries, they are becoming stronger, and back in 30s, 40s, last century, fascists and Nazis, they targeted Jewish population. But now, in this century, those Nazis and fascist neo-Nazis, they are targeting mostly Muslim population. That's why in some countries where those far-right parties have a say, that discrimination is more obvious, even in media. You can hear statements like, it's not nice to target certain country, but we have to mention the champion of the, let's say, far right politicians. It's Hungarian Prime Minister, Mr. Orban. He openly said European Union is a Christian club. There is no place for Muslims,
Albania
And
are Muslim, right?
okay,
Yes, I don't know about Europe.
look, it's a matter of perception. To have Muslim name doesn't mean that somebody is Muslim, like very dedicated Muslim. You know what I mean? But those far right nationalists or fascists, they immediately put you in the same group, like with those Islamic radicals. They consider whoever goes to mosque is equal to Muslim radicals. Yeah, but for instance, in Bosnia, in Albania, nominally there are more Muslims than Christians, but in essence, not all Muslims are Muslims, and not all Christians are Christians. They are not practicing religion. There are a lot of people who are atheists, although they are coming from cultural circle, which is, let's say, Muslim or Catholic or Orthodox Christian. There are even Hare Krishna or Buddhist, New Age, whatever. Like it's. But unfortunately, people are very keen. Some people are very keen to apply stereotypes. Like if I'm Adnan, equal Muslim, equal radical. Although they don't know who am I. Do I go to mosque? Do I pray? Am I religious or not? Nobody asked me anything, but you are in the same group, automatically put in the same group. So this is something weird, and unfortunately, the trend in European Union is very negative. I'm also expert in elections, and I can see that gradually far-right political parties are growing. Okay, not that fast, but they're still growing. And at one stage, they will be majority. And unfortunately, I think in that case, European Union would become more radical towards non-Christian people.
I agree with you. There should be not much extremism about religion. The Christian country should and the Christian community should be able to freely and regularly to practice their Christian religion, and Muslim refugees should also understand their host country religion, right? And they can also spare their worship program in Christian country. The Hungarian leader said European Union is Christian club.
Yeah.
Because I don't want extremism, like personally, but maybe talking compared to the Islamic OIC, because Islam country are also organizing like that OIC. All Islam country, they don't accept any Christian or Jewish country in OIC, I guess. But I'm not sure it is relevant for referring by Hungarian leader to be European should be Christian. So all extremism is not acceptable in Europe as well as OIC.
Exactly.
OIC, if they are strongly Islamic extremism, if they support like that, it will also wrong,
Yeah, you are totally right. Any form of extremism is not good. We should treat people not by their race or religion, or because we are all human beings.
Right.
We have the same DNA, so we should be treated equally. So that's the bottom line. And I don't know if somebody was born, let's say, in your country or in my country. Was it a matter of choice? No.
European Union should support based on the human right, human dignity to anybody, including all kind of refugees, all kind of religion, and all kind of people, all kind of backgrounds. And OIC should also support anybody based on human right, human dignity. OIC not support. It should not support anybody based on Islamic, because OIC may say because we support him because he is Islam. It will be not good, right?
Of course, nobody would say openly, you are not welcome to our country because you are Muslim or you are Buddhist or you are Hindu or whatever. Of course, it works different way. Like you need visa, or how much money do you have? Do you have enough money to? What kind of question is, do you have enough money? When you are crossing the border, let's say, to when you are entering EU, how much money is enough? That's the question. Okay, I have enough money to pay for accommodation, for food. I'm not planning to stay forever in your beautiful country. I just want to come as a, let's say, tourist or refugee or whatever, But I don't know why people are making a big deal about refugees. As you said, everybody should be treated equally. It doesn't matter where you are coming from and what's your religion or non-religion, because a lot of people are not religious at all. So it's not fair to put people according to some stereotypes in certain groups, like you are bad, and if you are born in some country which is, let's say, more lucky, then you are absolutely good. No, there is always, bad people among good countries, or good people in bad, so-called bad countries. You know,
I
uh,
you have experience in ombudsman.
yes. Actually, Ombudsman office is independent by the Constitution, and I don't see much influence from political parties because, uh, unfortunately, Ombudsman institution doesn't have much power. And political parties are not so interested in powerless institutions. They are more interested about media and some other, public utility companies, and, those more profitable uh, areas, you know, and about human rights, yeah, they listen to them, but not always. They politicians not always stick to recommendations. But you see, ombudsmen cannot order anything. They can only recommend, and it's up to politicians whether they are going to implement or not.
What is more powerful? Ombudsman is powerful, or judge? The court is more powerful in terms of human
Court
rights.
is, yeah, the court is definitely more powerful, and this is where politicians have influence. Currently, we have a big case where, we have two entities, and president of entity called Republika Srpska. Uh, he he has his idea of separating that entity, uh, and he doesn't obey to the constitution. And also we have institution of Office of the High Representative of International Community, which is part of Dayton Peace Agreement. And of High Representative has ultimate power to interpret even the Constitution, although we have Constitutional Court, which is also interpreting the Constitution. But obviously, the president of that entity, he doesn't care about all that. Now, the court summoned him for trial, you know, and he's trying now to make some big fuss, and he's inviting his political party members to to make block blockades, to make some unrests, but it doesn't work so far. uh, okay, he has some support from his party members, but it's not that massive, and law enforcement agencies and the court, they are doing their job, So we will see how it's going to develop. It's first time that high-ranking politician has been summoned by the court, and this case is under, it's in the loop, in focus of international community, and we are watching what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks or months with that case. But unfortunately, political parties they are doing their best to take control over judiciary system, the courts, and that council which appoints judges and prosecutors, So this is where they are more interested.
The judge should
This
be
is
independent, isn't it?
they should be independent, but if how can you be independent if I appoint you
Right.
and I can remove you?
Unless the judge is very righteous or very good judge, which not interested in politics, might be independently acting, but otherwise they will be a kind of connection, political connection, or somebody influence the court,
Yes,
the judge.
yes. Unfortunately, there are some judges which used to be high-ranking political figures, and they are now judges.
It will be
And they
dangerous.
say now we are independent. Of course, you are by the this is discrepancy between what is written in the law and
Right.
how it's implemented.
Right. If the judge is very much political figure, it will be very dangerous for justice system, because how you can expect any judgment with the political figure, especially for opponents party. He will only support his party, that will be very bad judge. What about ombudsman? In case of judges not doing well and unfair judgment, what ombudsman can do? What is the role of ombudsman?
Well, they make recommendations, advices. They also report to the Council of Europe. And what happens? Nothing.
I see. Usually,
Look,
no action. You mean there is not many action, no action at all?
well, there are actions, but reaction is like we don't care. I want to point out that Constitution of Bosnia-Herzegovina is a direct product of a peace agreement, and it's been written in English by American lawyers and politicians, and that's a peace agreement. Annex 4 of peace agreement is our constitution. But at that time, it was good to stop the war, and it was very useful. But now, as the time passes, after 25, 27 years after the war, we can see that the constitution is written in not well manner. Actually, it's very discriminatory, and several, I think, six cases where individuals wanted to run for the elections. They were refused because of Constitution says if you are resident of one entity, you cannot vote or run for the elections in another entity, and vice versa. That's one form of discrimination. Then we have three largest ethnic groups, but we have three which are constituent, although constitution doesn't give definition. What does it mean, being constituent people? What does it mean? There is no definition. But politicians who pretend to represent those three ethnic groups, they interpret being constituent to have all rights, but those who are not members of those three ethnic groups, they have less rights. Actually, they don't have any rights. They cannot even run for the presidency. They cannot run for city mayor, or because constitution didn't pay attention on those fine little details which make a big difference.
You
So,
can update, you can update the constitution in line with human rights and democratic principle. So why not never try to update the constitution?
In order to change constitution, you can change it in the parliament with 2/3 majority, which is impossible to put together.
So at least 2/3 should be agreed to change constitution. You need to convince more people, right?
So there are 6 rulings, judgments from European Court of Human Rights, which clearly say that constitution of Bosnia and Herzegovina must be changed in line with human rights principles, and but it's not changed yet because there is no political will from those who are representing those three ethnic groups.
So at least you have a reference and supported by European Union to update your constitution. It means if your national level exhausted, still regional level is supporting, So Bosnia and European countries, good thing is you have European Union body. So if your national country is not doing well, European Union institution is still, referring, pointing, and recommending.
It's not European Union. In this case, this court, human rights, it's part of the Council of Europe, which is including not only European Union countries, but also non-European Union countries. And yes, you are right. When you exhaust all legal remedies, domestic legal remedies, you apply to that court. And in these 6 cases, they won against Bosnia, and it's been proven it's discrimination, but it's up to domestic politicians to vote for amendments to the constitution, and they are not so eager to do it.
So maybe you should advocate more and more with the Europe institution. So it means if in case of human right violation, if ombudsman is failed to implement or to recommendation or to do anything national level by ombudsman, you can go to the European level, right? The regional level.
Yes, but unfortunately,
What is the name of human rights institution, regional institution?
this is what I said. There is European Court of Human Rights. You know,
So you can go to
and
European court. European
yes,
court can make
and
decision, right?
yes, but they made decisions in 6 cases, and implementation of the verdicts is stuck. So ombudsmen, they have no power. They have goodwill, but they have no power. Unfortunately, European Union, they say it even after those verdicts, like you people in Bosnia, you should agree, you know, about those verdicts, how you are going to implement it. It's none of our business. The most important is just don't start another war, you know. And they don't care, basically. They say it's your issue.
This you have European court, you know.
Yes, yes, but uh, how to force politicians to implement those verdicts of the European Court if, let's say, European Union says it's up to you how you are going to do it.
You need one more step again. So if the national level, national government did not implement it or not willing to implement it, you can do next step. Next step means you may go to European court again, or like the European court can again, fatigue, or
6 times,
they
six
can
times people
they
want.
can do more measurement, the regional level measurement. It can be sanctioned. European Union can sanction Bosnia, or it can be other way of
Yes,
sanction or
yes.
punishment to the government if they don't want to do the court decision.
You know who is going to suffer those sanctions? Not politicians.
Right.
The people would suffer sanctions.
But I mean the implementation, that is the way of implementation system. The court will do another step, and that the government will be face consequences. So after sanction is not working, there should be find out another step. So there will be many steps if until unless the implementation is not done. The European court can do, and European organization can do, those things.
Yes, one interesting thing is that all human rights conventions are actually included in Bosnian constitution, and it says that it has supremacy. Those uh, uh, human rights norms, they have supremacy over any other laws, but still it's not implemented because politicians, like I mentioned one of them, which should go to the court, they don't care. And they say openly, we don't care. You know. And what's the alternative? if citizens raise and start civil unrest, then only one spark, we have another war. And we had very, very brutal war. You know,
It will be not
back in 90s, we had very brutal war. That's why we had this peace agreement. As a result of that peace agreement, as a part of the peace agreement, we have constitution, which is not product of the will of Bosnian citizens. It was written by legal experts from United States in good faith, of course, and we are very grateful they carved the peace, you know. But the constitution can be changed only in, let's say, two ways. One is that politicians, political parties who have 2/3 majority in the parliament, they vote and they change it, which they don't want. Second option is those who wrote our constitution, like United States, they should say, hey, let's do some corrections. They have power, they can do it.
Yeah.
But from some reason, that doesn't happen.
Maybe European courts should refer American to be supported and to provide assistance for updating, modifying constitution in that way, you know.
Yes, they may do it, but you know, the main problem in the world, in the field of international relations, is actually non-binding
Right.
norms. Okay, there are agreements, there are associations, there are institutions, there are organizations, but it's always up to authorities.
Sovereign.
Are they going to accept it or not?
Or up to the sovereign, you know, sovereign country.
Yeah, actually, you see, this conflict in Ukraine, it's open violation of all international relation norms and standards, so-called laws. But who is going to punish